Hello, friends. We're back once again with Fake Nerds Watch, and we're here to find out just how invincible our main character is. But we won't find out, unfortunately, until next year because we only got half a season. But you know what? I ain't mad about it because I still think this is a pretty cool show. And here to talk about this cool show with me are my friends Brandon T. McClure.
I also think it's a pretty cool show.
Ben Magnet.
This show is also pretty dang good.
And I am not Invincible, Ryan Leopolis. But like I said, we reviewed the first two episodes. We're back for another two. And then next month, 3 months. I heard January, but apparently that was just a rumor of when the season would drop. But that's in the future. Let's talk about what we just watched here, guys. Ben, Mr. Sleepy Boy himself, I want to hear what you had to say about Invincible. How you feeling about a family reunion?
Well, shit.
You haven't read the comics, right?
No, I have not.
Okay, cool. Just wanted to get that out of the way. Cool.
Yeah,
okay.
I have not read the comic book. I have not read the comics. The only thing Invincible that I've actually ever consumed is, of course, the show.
Mm-hmm.
This still solid. It's still a very solid show. Like the writers, the animators, they just keep bringing it, and it's not just another superhero show. It's still very compelling. I care a whole lot about all the different characters, and you just feel for them after the events of season 1. And the fact, and to see how, see Marc going to college, to see Marc's relationship with Amber and him trying to still do good after the events of Omni-Man, and just everything going on with not just with Marc but his mom, his Adam Eve. You feel really bad for these characters, and you really like, how does one bounce back from everything? And Cecil is just, Cecil's being Cecil.
He's got to do what he's got to do. He's got to
do what he's got to do. But even, and also just like looking at all the even like with Robot, Monster Girl, I really like how those two characters are like, growing. We'll get into episodes 3 and 4, but I will definitely say that the show is still 100% solid. Like, these guys are knocking it out of the park, I feel like.
Oh, yeah. Love it. Brandon, how you feeling about part 2 of season 2, part 1 of the season?
It's incredible that there's probably only half an episode that I was just kind of disinterested in. Which says a lot about just the quality of the storytelling and kind of where my interests lie as far as the show goes. But once again, we're here for another 2 solid episodes. I think I'll just say right from the jump, I think it was a huge mistake to put the credits in the middle of episode 3.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting because, I mean, they're kind of telling 2 different stories in the same episode, but it is an interesting choice.
And because, like, after that, I was already like checked out, and I was like, "Oh, this isn't a post credits. This is 30 minutes of an episode that's still going."
Yeah. This show being, it's not a half-hour animated show; it's an hour-long animated show. 45 with commercials and stuff. But like, that's pretty tough to keep your interest the entire way. So like, maybe they felt they had to do that. So like, I don't know. So like, this is a different story. So I don't know. It felt weird to me, like coming halfway through the episode. I like these episodes quite a lot. Definitely there, like Brandon just said, like one part of the episode, I'm like, man, this is dope. And the rest is like, oh, this is all right. This is cool. Maybe shift that to another episode or something. But I'm happy to say I'm still loving this. The family reunion, like I mentioned, of, Marc and Nolan meeting each other again. Like I knew that was coming, but like seeing it in animated form where his tongue and his alien wife, I'm like, oh man, this is some weird shit going on. It's great. It's great stuff.
Yeah, I just got to the issue recently of the introduction of Marc's younger brother, which is and so watching that episode and like kind of like having that comic, we're already, because like Seance Dog, like I knew that they're at college and they're doing this thing with Seance Dog. I was like, oh, we're here already. Oh, okay, yeah, cool.
It's interesting, going from a monthly format of comics to having like where it takes years for things to happen, but with an animated show, they really truncate it. And it's not like it's truncated in a bad way, just like, we're getting a bunch of episodes at once. So like, It's like, oh man, like we're this show's going. Like it's pretty crazy how fast we're getting through things, and it doesn't feel like it's badly paced or anything. Like it feels on track. I have audio listeners. I have the black hole behind me that Nolan almost goes in as my image. I almost picked the image from the comic where he's tonguing his alien wife, and I'm like, let's just not be a little weird with my background for an hour. Let's just keep it regular. Let's just keep it slightly sad. But let's, before we get into all the Marc and Nolan of it all, which is the main crux of the final episode, how are we feeling about episode 3 with our boy Seth Rogen? He's back. He's Alan. Boy, poor Alan.
That's the stuff I really liked. I was really interested in the Alan stuff. I really like the storyline with Alan and the council, the Galactic Council, whatever they're called. Peter Cullen as our head of that council, which is awesome.
I think it's Thetis.
I think so.
Yeah.
The instant his voice popped up, I'm like, what are you doing, Optimus Prime? Look at you. Good for you. But real quick, before we actually get into more of the episode, Brandon, I know you have the credits. We like to give the credits out.
Yes,
Can we get through some of the who made this lovely show?
Yeah, so episode 3 is the Missive and the Machination, directed by Tanner Johnson, written by Adric. I can't read my handwriting. Adric Corey. And it's been a while. Episode 4, directed by Jason Zirk, written by Helen Lee. And if I mispronounce any of those, it is because my handwriting looks like chicken scratch, not because I can't read.
No, I have the same problem. That's why I just use my notes app to usually type all my stuff out.
I should have.
Yeah. Okay.
But I episode 3, this Missive, this Machination. I was really interested in doing an episode from Alan's perspective. Like we even get Alan's title card in this episode. They make the joke. It's the first time narration has happened in this show because everyone's boning, which is really fun. And like I was like the Alan stuff is really compelling and really interesting, and the reveal of who the mole is cuts to credits, and that's where the episode started to lose me because I like the Guardians of the Globe just fine.
Yeah,
but I didn't really care about what was going on with Robot and Monster Girl, Rex and Duplicate. Now I do. Now that said, the last thing I want to say about this, just because I want to get you guys into this, I know I'm going all over the place. Last time we talked, I was worried that Duplicate wouldn't have a character. I'm really happy to see them give her one of just like, the reason why I attached to the Immortal is because he's died as many times as I have. And like, that's really compelling. And I'm really interested in that. But other than that, anyway, I'm sorry. I went all over places.
No, but it's all in the same episode. But again, that goes, I think, to your point earlier of like a lot happens in this episode, but it's not like a normal episode where it's kind of like interwoven throughout the episode. It's here's a chunk of story and then here's a less interesting chunk of story. And again, I also like the Guardians of the Globe stuff, but like after doing all the compelling Alan stuff, I'm like, oh, like I'm still watching the show, but I'm like, I kind of just wish we stuck with that for a whole episode. Cause it's like not enough time is given for that section of the story for me. But yeah, go ahead, Ben. I want to hear what you have to say about Mr. Rogen.
With episode, I agree with Brandon. I really, because even though I do like the stuff with Monster Girl, Robot, Rex, Duplicate, and everything, I was waiting for the other shoe to drop the whole time after the end credits rolled. Because the credits rolled, I'm like, really? Because I swore I had like 30 more minutes of the show left, and then because I was expecting, I don't even know if we can call that because remember the very first episode of Invincible, the credits roll. And then Omni-Man like wrecks the Guardians of the Globe. That's when he kills them. I was expecting if there's like 30 minutes more of the episode, there's something else happening, right?
Yeah.
Right? Like I was just waiting for the other shoe to drop. I was waiting for something to happen to Robot. I was waiting for something to happen to Rex. Or the shapeshifter guy who Ben Schwartz voices. Shapesmith, thank you.
I love Shapesmith so much.
Yeah.
Oh God, it's like you are such a.
I'm going to run in place on this machine and just chop.
Not even on.
So good.
And it was like, but I was expecting some horrible thing to happen that was gonna set up the Guardians of the Globe for the rest of the season, and nothing really happens. And I'm like, oh. Okay. What did they have? I think I get why they had to put the credits in the middle, because like, okay, Alan's story is done. We're gonna go on to the Guardians now. But at the same time, I really did, because I when the episode first started and it started off with Alan, or it's like, hey, we're gonna go from Mark and Amber, we're gonna go over to Alan, and we see like his whole little backstory and everything. I was like, huh, okay. I really hope I like this stuff, because sometimes when they cut to space into another character who had a quick thing in the last season, it's not very interesting. I was wrong. It's very interesting. And I was actually kind of scared that Peter Cullen, that Thetis was the mole. Yes, he is.
As soon as he was like, I think there's a mole in our space station, I was like, it's you.
Yeah.
You're the mole.
Also, like, I don't remember this from the comic because it's been a while, but like that dude looks like a Vilturmite.
Yes, he does.
He does.
Yeah, he straight up was like, you're a bad man, I think. I'm not sure, but I think you might be a bad man. And then he takes the thing out of the hospital bed. Like, oh, come on, bro.
What going kind of like the non-linear way this book, sorry, this is the only version of this book I have, is the massive 48 version of it. I have not gotten to that reveal that Thetis was the mole. I don't know if that's in the comic because I haven't gotten to it. So like that was a big surprise for me. Like, again, like, you know, I'm reading this book and the show can still like change things to surprise me and change the order of how things are happening. And it just goes to show once again how much I like how the show is adapted.
Yeah. And you know what's interesting is like, I wasn't on the Adam Eve special, but like I know, like I thought it was fine. Like I don't think it needed to be its own special. I feel like this Alan thing was so good. Like this could have been a special.
This
like
probably should have been special.
It's disconnected enough from like the main story where like it doesn't really feature any of them, and it still talks about the stuff with Nolan and Marc. So I'm like, it's so weird that they decided to make like another special just in the middle of an episode. Because if this were standoff, then you can just focus on the Guardians of the Globe if you wanted to. But I don't want to harp on that too much, because like I do still like some of that stuff. It's just, again, it's not as interesting as all the Alan stuff we get with like his girlfriend and him also having a power. Like he gets stronger when he gets beat and stuff. So like that's all really cool. The Beast Man, what's the Beast Man's name? I always forget, but he's on the council. He's like a big tiger man.
Well, it's not him. It's a different one of his species.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. I forgot what the original guy looked like. Well, never mind then.
But so Michael Doran's character from the first season.
Yes.
I forgot his name too. Battle Beast sounds.
Battle Beast. I think that might be right.
Battle Beast. Yeah. The thing, my issue with the Guardians of the Globe this season, honestly, is that they just feel kind of stagnant. I don't really know. I'm really happy that the show is trying to kind of like dive into the other characters that aren't Invincible and Adam Eve and Alan, like all that. But for right now, where the Guardians of the Globe have been in these, admittedly, only 4 episodes, as Ryan said up top, this is only half a season. Yeah. It's just kind of felt stagnant. I just don't really know the direction that the show wants to take them in, other than they've just got some interpersonal drama right now.
Yeah, and I suppose if you want to be like, oh, like, you know, like the Avengers and the X-Men, they have like interpersonal drama. Like not every episode has to be an action episode, but like the last couple episodes, it's just been them like, hey, let's talk to each other and like have problems with each other. And like, that's fine, but like, it doesn't feel like it's moving anything forward. Like the other parts of the story are. So I'm hoping the next part of the season can do that. Is the stuff with Debbie in this episode or the next episode? I don't remember. I watched this last week.
I think it's in this episode. I think it's in the post credits moment of this episode. I think the stuff with Debbie, because the next episode starts with her and Omni-Man doing the walk. You know, they're both kind of walking in their depression kind of moments.
Yes, that's right. Okay. I like all that Debbie stuff. So I'm glad. Okay, so that's mostly in the next episode, but that is teased in this episode. But do you have anything more to say, Ben or Brandon, about all the Alan stuff? Is there anything that we missed besides him being completely decimated by the Vilturmites, getting his arm cut off, like just destroyed?
He's got a girlfriend.
He does. He has a cute girlfriend, cute alien girlfriend. He just wants to make her happy. I love it.
I wanted more of it. I wanted that to be the whole episode. I really wish it was. But it's not. I assume you want to talk about Debbie Grayson in this episode because you were talking about it, right?
Well, I just didn't remember. I think the most of the chunk happens in the next episode. It's like the stuff.
Well, this is the support group episode.
Okay, yeah. Again, I watched these last week, so my memory's a little foggy on that. But yeah, I really like that stuff. I think it's really poignant and really sad, and like in a world with superheroes, like this is something that would exist, and it is extra tragic that like she finally confides in someone. but the person she confides in is the murderer of a guy who murdered his wife. And I'm like, oh, Debbie, I'm sorry, you can't catch a break. It's awful.
It's heartbreaking having that scene at the end of the bar, because like as soon as she says, because we see her death, and specifically her death in the flashback. What's her name? Green Ghost, I think.
Yes.
We see her death specifically in the recap, and the whole time you're kind of wondering, like, how is this going to play back, because all the recaps are very specific in the show. It's really great.
Mhm.
But when he goes, she was killed by that psychopath Omni-Man, and they're like, shit. And when Debbie says, like, I can't, like, Debbie has that whole moment where she's like, I can't mourn because my husband's not dead, he's just gone. He was. And that whole exchange just broke my heart. That man just like, don't ever come back because it won't be safe with you there. Just,
that's like a threat. Like, you could just say, like, this is too much for me to handle. But he's literally like, you come back and I'll beat your ass. And I'm like, oh my God. It's just such a poor group, I thought. Oh, it's sad.
It's heartbreaking moment. And that stuff I really liked.
Yeah. No, that's like, we have like three different stories happening in this one episode, and like the Guardian stuff is like in the middle, like, hey, aren't we quirky? And then we got sad shit, and then we got Alan. I'm like, it's a kind of an interesting episode format.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. The stuff with Debbie hit hard, to be perfectly honest. Like the second she finds out that it is a support group, I'm like, oh, okay, this is good. This can help her. This can, help her maybe get over Omni-Man. And the fact that they don't like mention superheroes, or the second that the guy broke the first rule of support group, and she confides in him that, because you would think that this person would, yes, be mad at Omni-Man, but Debbie is, she's innocent in all this. She didn't know. She was lied to the whole time. And it was just messed up. And her walking through the whole city, eventually losing her shoes and walking barefoot.
Yeah.
I'm like, Debbie, like when she was looking over the freeway, I'm like, don't jump, don't do it, don't do it,
yeah,
don't
right?
do it,
yeah.
don't do it. I'm like, don't you dare.
Debbie's on a much more interesting journey in the show than she was in the comic book. I really appreciate it, because Ben, you weren't here last time, but the last time we talked about this, in the comics, Debbie, after what happens with Omni-Man, Debbie very much becomes a drunk, just passed out drunk on the couch all the time, and that's really all they do with her in her grief. And in here, it's a much more nuanced kind of look at what this kind of grief would do to somebody. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. And even though, like, I don't forgive Omni-Man, like the dual journey of her and Debbie at the same time, like my black hole is walking through the street, while his black hole is a literal black hole. I'm like I sympathize with you, but I don't empathize with you.
Yeah. The hold on. Right, the seance dog is this episode also. This episode is really disjointed. Like, weirdly so. I understand, like, it's kind of a quirky show. The title card comes up in various places. This is, I think, the first time it doesn't come up. The first episode they play with the Invincible thing
with the name.
Yeah, and then they do it again here, where they don't actually bring up the title card for Invincible. They do it for Alan. But then the seance dog thing comes in, and that's all stuff like faithfully recreated from the comic, which I thought was really cool. How this like bug alien dude comes by, he's like, hey, I'm seance dog. I would love the miss up that he does when he's just like I'm from and this world seance dog doesn't exist, but in my world, dogs and magic do exist. Like, no, we have dogs, we just don't have magic.
Yeah, that whole sequence was really, really great. We get some good Marc Amber stuff there, which is lovely. And the best friend, what's his name? William? Is it William?
William.
Yeah. He shows up again. He's great. Like, they have their whole, like, this is your side of the
We haven't had a lot of William this season. Very briefly in the graduation episode, but beyond that, really nothing. It was really nice to see him again.
Yeah, like, this is your side of the room and it's my side of the room, and like my room's way cooler because I don't have dumb seance dog posters, and if there's a sock on the door, don't come a knocking.
Did it break your heart when he threw away his collectibles?
Yeah.
Yes, I've said to you guys like before, but like when I was younger, I was like in an edgy mode, and I like literally like Gambit style threw my Pokemon cards into a fire. And I regret that for the rest of my life, because some of those cards are probably really valuable. I only kept some of the holographics, but in hindsight, I'm like, I was just young and angry. So yes, I absolutely get that. Yeah.
I'm glad he came back for Sean's dog. Like if he had just throwing away that box, I was like, no, Marc, don't. How could you?
Yeah. And then he shows up at the door. Like, this is, I forgot that's the transition into how we get to the alien stuff.
Yeah.
So seeing it again, I'm like, oh my God, why is Satan's dog here? Are we going to do a weird multiverse thing?
William's whole thing when he's like, hello, is Marc Grayson here? It closes, hides in the blanket. That's for you.
It's for you. That was really good. Yeah. He has a silly fight that leads into the woods where he transforms back into an alien. I'm like, oh, it was a ploy for you to like me. And like, I guess like what's it called? Being a phony guy is a way to get someone's attention. Sure. I guess you just can't show up as an alien going, hey, come save my galaxy. I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
He's a hero.
Yeah, now every time an alien will show up and ask Marc to like, hey, I need your help, it's like, sus.
Who are you? Is an alien actually really? Seance dog? Find out next episode. So yeah,
the alien. Is there a reveal in the comic that Seance dog is real?
I don't remember. I never finished it. I didn't read the last couple volumes because like when I read it a long time ago, statute of limitations apply to me now because I had them all downloaded. I had the first like 75 issues just in like a file, and I read them all at once. So it's all one comic to me, and I don't remember any of it. But he might show up again. Like, the multiverse is a thing that like Angstrom Levy shows us. So I wouldn't be surprised if he shows up.
We haven't had Angstrom hasn't been in this season since the first episode. Interesting.
Yeah, I guess he still is technically our big bad, but I think we need the other stuff with Marc and Nolan probably set up before we can come back to that. I'm assuming.
I think doing the stuff with the Vilturmite people is probably more important to set up at this moment. I wonder if Angstrom will actually continue on into season 3.
With the way they're doing the show, I wouldn't be surprised because like you set them up, and I don't think they will. Unless all 4 of the next episodes are like totally about him, I think he might carry over because I don't want them to introduce a cool villain and then destroy him in like one episode. Yeah. I think he might have some carryover, especially because it's a big multiverse plot and that's like a big thing in the comics too. So
yeah, I feel like we're probably going to deal with. Although they did kind of set up in the next episode, we should just move into the next episode, I think. But they did kind of set up that the Vilturmites we're going to send Marc to Earth and then come back later. So that could be the setup for the 3rd season and we return to Angstrom in the next part of the season.
Absolutely. That could be it. Yeah. So yeah, we get to episode 4 and we get Nolan's a sad journey through space. It's like, oh, I murdered thousands of people. Feel bad for me. And I'm like, I kind of don't. I mean, I kind of do a little bit, but not that much. And then he's about to throw himself into a black hole, which I'm like, that's pretty, actually, if you're going to go out, it's probably the coolest way you can go out.
Yeah,
but he forgetified.
But he saves the people, and I really like his arc of like, I shouldn't care about this. Why do I care about this? He even says to Marc later after the Vilturmite show up, like, this is better. This is better. Caring about all this, and Marc's just like, you should have done this on Earth.
Yeah, that stuff is really compelling. That is some good stuff. He without knowing it, has been changed by Earth and by his son, by his wife. Who knows how many wives he has at this point, but like his Earth wife really did a number on him emotionally, making him like feel like a person. So yeah, that moment after the fight is really great. Like you just said it, Brandon, like, why do I feel this way? This is stupid. Why do I care so much? I'm like, bro, that's humanity, baby. That's what we do. That's some really, really good stuff. And like, I have seen some people talk about like, is this redemption too fast for Nolan? And I'm like, I don't think it's quite a redemption yet. We're not there yet. It is exploring who this man is. And like, he's like a Vegeta. Like it takes him a while to get where he is, in modern day.
To push back a little bit on this being a redemption, I don't think he ever needed a redemption arc. Like, not really. He did horrible things, don't get me wrong, but like, he leaves the Earth for some reason, and the reason is because he loves his son, and he wasn't prepared for that. So like, that's always been there. So I don't necessarily think it's a redemption of being too fast. I think this was there. This started before he killed the Guardians of the Globe. He's always cared about his wife and son. He'd never wanted to admit it, but beating his son senseless really like did a number on him and like affected him an emotional level that he wasn't prepared for. So like, I think this was just enough to be like, he went into space being affected so emotionally in a way that he didn't expect. and he projected that emotional that those new emotions onto the first people that he saw.
Yeah.
And so like that kind of, I don't think it's too fast. On the end of this kind of long ass statements, I don't think it's too fast. I think it's been really effectively done.
No, I agree. And I think if he eventually does return to Earth, it's not going to be like, hey, no problem, bro. We forgive you. Like, that's not what's going to be the case. So like, it isn't a quick redemption. It is going to be a long journey. If again, like the Dragon Ball Z equivalent, like Vegeta's one of the worst people in the universe, and he ends up like being a cool dad in a pink shirt. So like, it takes time to get there.
Vegeta gets the entire Frieza saga to be redeemed.
Exactly. Ben, how you feeling about Father Nolan and his little purple baby boy?
To be perfectly honest, hit a little too close to home for me.
Do you have an alien stepdad that I don't know?
No.
I'm so surprised, Ben. Are you Vilturmite?
No, just parents divorced, dad remarried, other stuff.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, thankfully, it wasn't like anywhere close to what Omni-Man did. But I'm like, like Marc's like reaction to a lot of things was kind of how I reacted to a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't say the exact same words that Marc did, but I'm like, okay, this is getting a little too personal for me. Sure. At least it was getting close to me. But I somewhat sympathize with Omni-Man. I sure as hell don't empathize with him, as you guys have been saying. It was interesting seeing what was like I really like episode 4, because this is what I was waiting for. Like, I was waiting for when Omni-Man and Marc meet up again.
Mm-hmm.
And like Marc's whole reaction, his whole like, oh shit, what are you doing?
Well, I love the hug, right? He goes in like, and both of them are kind of like, am I going like Nolan doesn't know that his son's going to like hug him. He thinks he's going to fight him, and he's like prepared for a fight. But when Marc goes in for the hug, it's heartbreaking, man. Like that's all Marc wanted, was to hug his dad, not beat him senseless after all that.
Yeah, and this episode is honestly like one of the most, I think that so far, I mean, I don't know, we only had like half a season thus far, but I think this is the best written episode because of all the different sides of Nolan that you get to see. You see him as like trying to like reconnect with his son, him trying to explain to his son, but his son won't listen. And even when he like grabs Marc by the throat and is like, why do I care? Because like when Nolan sees all the dead Thraxans just like littered throughout his like his little castle thing, it's like, oh shit. And he's like freaking out. It's like, you were here for a very short amount of time and you care about these people so much. You should have cared about this on Earth. What the hell, man?
Yeah, it's really cool to see. Like, I really like the line when he's looking at his at the new baby, and he says that no, it doesn't matter what I did, this kid's innocent. Yeah. And he knows what he's done, right? He's all like, Viltrumites only let you sire heirs with genetically compatible species. So what I've done is doomed this entire planet and this kid, and I can't let that happen because this kid doesn't deserve this. It's a really like altruistic motive that Omni-Man, I don't think Omni-Man was prepared to have.
Yeah.
And like certainly one that he didn't expect to have to reach out to his other son for it, because he goes like, I can't defeat 3 Viltrumites, but me and my son probably can.
Yeah. And he wouldn't feel this way if he didn't have that first son. He now has a second son, and he's like, oh, I can't let what I did happen to this planet. Like, no way.
It's like he's projecting what he wishes he should have done to Marc. Like in his eyes, this is his second chance.
Yeah. And it's so really interesting that these aliens, what do you say their names were, Ben? Like the Thraxans?
The Thraxans, yeah.
Okay. They only live a year long. They're like flies. Like they don't live a long time. So like, oh, you did a bad thing like 3 weeks ago. That's like a third of my life, baby. Don't worry about it. Like, I'm sure you feel bad about it. And I'm like, that is such an interesting way to live. Where like, man, you did something 7 hours ago. That's like 4 years. Like, bro, all is forgiven. I forgive. Don't worry. And I'm like, that must have been really great for Nolan to find this species instead of another species who would have been like, you did what with who? I think that was really helpful for Nolan.
And then the woman that sired that baby, you know, she's like, I've already fell in love with your dad before he told me everything. You know, she was very clear. It's like, I know everything that happened. I know about your mom. I know about you. I know about Earth. But I still loved your father, and I didn't want to replace your mother. And I thought that was really sharply written. I agree with Ben. I think this is the best written episode of the season so far.
Yeah, I think this is again only 4 episodes. This is my favorite episode. Just because not only is it like kind of concise, but like we go over a lot of stuff with our main characters, like a lot of growth seems to happen for both Marc and Nolan. Because like I'm not sure Marc was ready. He obviously he wasn't ready to meet his dad. At the end of episode 3, he's like, "What up, bro? I'm the king of this planet," and he's like, "Oh, what?" And then he goes for the hug, which is really beautiful because again, that could have been another brawl that I don't think any of them wanted. So it was really nice to have some closure there. And then we get the 3 Viltrumites, who are really cool. Every Viltrumite like is evil and shit, but like they look cool. I like their outfits. They're awful. They're cool.
I love the girl with the long hair with the blade at the end of it. That's so cool. That's such a cool idea. I mean,
it's like if Scorpion was a hairdresser, essentially.
Yeah.
Get over here.
Yeah, and then the kind of like heavy set one is Phil Lamar, which is awesome.
Yeah.
That fight, I really liked. Man, you know, I was just thinking about this, like the fact that that Nolan goes to save Marc and his other son, who we keep saying other son because he doesn't have a name yet. He goes to save them, and because he did that, the entire city is wiped out. And like that like weighs on him. That kind of, he made a choice to protect his kids and not protect the people, and like that it like you actually see that weigh on him, and then it kind of becomes freeing of like, well, these are Viltrumites, I can freaking kill them. I don't have to hold back. And he tells that to Marc. It's like, Marc, you don't have to hold back on this one. They're going to kill you, so you need to kill them.
Yeah, there's a great line. I didn't notice it initially, but then somebody put like the 2 and 2 together, like with the final fight in season 1, where he's like, "Think, Marc, think, blah 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 blah," and he's like, "Marc, don't think, just fight." Yeah, I'm like, that's cute. I like that. And he's like, "They will kill you. You will die, my son. You cannot hold back. You gotta go. You gotta be invincible right now." And he finally realizes at the end, and he kicks some ass. Of course, he gets his face beat in too, and no one has to come and help him a little bit. But
and he gets stabbed. Cool. He also gets stabbed.
He also, I forget, he gets stabbed. Oh, he has a healing factor, right? I don't remember.
When Nolan like swings the girl around and like elbows her in the jaw. That's gnarly, man.
I was just waiting for him to use her blade against her, but when he kills her with his elbow in the jaw, I'm like, that's actually that is a Mortal Kombat fatality right there.
Oh yeah.
And then the other Viltrumite that we thought were like, you got like stabbed through with a stalagmite, like he comes back holding his guts in his shirt.
Man. That's a tough man.
He's like, you should have made sure I was dead. What the hell?
Yeah, the Viltrumites are tough, man.
They have effectively made the Viltrumites out to be this kind of unstoppable force that Nolan had kind of told us that they were. But just with these 3, how we saw them waste Alan, we saw them almost kill Invincible, Omni-Man, and then live after spilling their guts. Like they have effectively been made out to be a ruthless villain that audiences are probably terrified of at this point.
Yeah, and like knowing there's an entire army out there, and there's characters in the comic that we will meet who are like the baddest of the bad. I think one guy's name, his name is Conquest. It's gonna be really fun because like we're slowly building up to like an intergalactic force of heroes having to stop this unstoppable army of Viltrumites. I'm like, man, like they're doing a good job of setting all this up. The Viltrumites are really scary. And like, again, like they will hold their guts to beat your ass. And I'm like, I don't know if I've ever seen that before. That's pretty wild.
Nope, I have not. And it is some crazy shit. Clancy Brown's also in this episode. every time we hear Clancy Brown, it's like,
Oh yeah.
That is. I thought that was Ron Perlman, but yeah, I think it's. Yeah, you're right. It's Clancy Brown.
Yeah, it's Clance.
Yeah, just like when he goes over, he's like, "You survived your first battle, thus proving that you are worthy of your Vilturmite heritage." I'm like,
so we're gonna make you go to Earth to do the thing that your father was supposed to do.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, they respect game, at least, you know.
And then when Marc,
they're like fascists, right? They recognize Marc as one of their own, and they're just like, if you don't do what we say to you to do, we'll just wipe out the entire planet. You can either kill a few or we could kill them all.
Yeah. And it's like, you mother, just all the grossness. It's like,
I love it. I love the Viltrumites.
Yeah, they are such an imposing force. Like it's gonna be so fun seeing more of them show up, and not just like cool characters, but like armies of them. And like, how do you deal with this force? Like, how do you deal with something that is like nearly unstoppable when there's only one or two of you? Like, man, you got to build up. You got a council of aliens. I mean, I don't know what Thetis' deal is. Like, I'm hoping that like. No, I don't know. Like that dude seems like a bad guy. I don't know.
I genuinely think he's a Viltrumite.
Yeah.
I think so too. But when we first saw it, like I will never forget the trailer when they were announcing the entire voice cast, and then they said Peter Cullen, and he said Viltrumite versus Viltrumite hasn't happened. I was like, oh, he's totally a Viltrumite. He totally has to be a bad guy.
If I had to speculate, again, because I don't remember from the comics, like if he's the leader of this galactic council that's supposed to like help the universe, is he secretly just like making it easier for the Viltrumites to take planets over or something?
Maybe
it's possible, because like the whole thing, that the way this like council is, it says it's like this council protects planets from Viltrumite invasion, and like it's meant to be, and like we even kind of get the implication in season 1 that the Viltrumites like don't respect it, but like won't actually go after planets that are in this council. Not yet anyway, but they do kind of wait. So like it kind of feels like maybe the planets that they were protecting are ones that Viltrum weren't interested in the first place. Oh
yeah, like we don't even want them, so you can have them. Yeah.
Right. And so like they were kind of biding their time, and now it's kind of getting to the point where it's like, no, we're now coming for you guys, and to make it easier, we've got someone on the council.
Yeah, and like we've taken all the planets that we were interested in, and now we have nothing else to do. So now we are just going to take everyone else over. Man, Alan's going to be fine, right?
I don't know. I hope so.
I really don't remember. It's been again like
that guy's eye was out of his body.
Yeah, I thought he was going to be dead, and then he showed up, or he's in the pod alive. So I'm like, but then he gets killed potentially. It's like, I don't know, man. It's rough.
That's the Frieza resurrection pod right there. If they think that guy could come back from that.
I have a feeling that his girlfriend's just gonna show up after she leaves, and she notices his thing is powered down, so she immediately connects the dots. It's like, it was him.
Yeah.
I'm
like
glad
we'll see
the
that
reveal
quickly happen. Yeah.
I am glad the reveal wasn't delayed. I like that the reveal is in the same episode that we're introduced to him, because like, again, I don't think it's a stretch to say that most people probably clocked that this guy was the mole the moment he sent Alan on this mission. It's a very common superhero trope. And to be like, yeah, we're not gonna delay this. We're going to immediately say there's a mole. It's him.
It's either that or the other dude at the council who was essentially, you know, like every episode, I feel like a lot of television shows have this type of character. It's the character who's always like playing devil's advocate, but in the most a-hole way ever.
It's the Snape character. You think this guy's you think he's the bad guy, but really he's been helping the whole time.
Yeah. Or even like in Ahsoka, that one senator who was was constantly talking shit about Hera and her team.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, like, it could be him, but then it's like, I don't know. Nadia seems a little too benevolent.
When Peter Cullen like does that, and like the reason why it works in this isn't because we care about Peter Cullen's character Thetis. We don't really care about when we were introduced to him in the same episode that we find out he's a villain, literally not 20 minutes later. So like that's what that is. But we care about that reveal because Alan is in danger, and we like Alan and we want him to live, and that's why it's an effective moment.
It's just like in episode 1, like when it's revealed that like Nolan kills the Guardians in episode 1, and that's not something that doesn't happen in the comics. It's a little bit later. So like giving us like this juicy drama that we can soak in is like it's a little bit almost better, because like now that we know who the mole is, like how is that going to affect everyone else? Like when we have insider information and everyone else is like, what do we do? How come this thing keeps happening to us? And it's like, it's your boss,
because
man.
Because if you remember in season 1, like when Debbie was finding out, oh, maybe my husband killed the Guardians of the Globe, like we got really scared for Debbie because we cared about her, and that was where the drama came from. It wasn't that because we knew that there was a real threat here. So there's just kind of recreating that on a smaller scale with Alan. I hope he lives, because that would suck. I like him a lot.
Ooh, yeah. One more character I wanted to mention somewhat briefly. Donald.
Oh yeah, he was saved last.
Yes. Well, we got a couple of people I want to go through. There's the Mauler twins, Adam Eve, and Donald that we haven't talked about yet.
Right.
I forgot all about Adam Eve.
But Donald. Let's talk about Donald, because he's discovering maybe he's not human.
Yeah. Maybe he's like a Terminator robot.
Can you imagine watching your own death? I love the moment when he like cuts his like arm open and he's bleeding. Like, oh, thank God. And then the knife is bent, and you're like,
because he does. He's a little crazy because he just like stabs it in and it bends the knife. And I'm like, bro, if you weren't like a robot, like that would puncture you and you might die. But I guess he's so like worried, like he doesn't even care at that moment.
Because it does puncture him. It does puncture him, and he starts bleeding like a lot. And he's like, oh, thank goodness I'm bleeding. That means I'm human. But then the blade being bent, something inside of him, like he's got a Terminator exoskeleton inside of his body.
It's an LMD.
Or maybe his skeleton is just indestructible. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I was under the assumption that he was a clone, but now like he might be a robot or something.
Well, we see his body gets like destroyed, right? So I think it has to be a mixture of like they maybe regrew his body but gave him like an exoskeleton to make him stronger. They just didn't tell him, because Cecil doesn't want to lose his boy again.
Right.
I was wondering if he was going to like feel his back, and we're going to like see the scar tissue from when Nolan like broke his spine. I thought that would have been gnarly as hell.
That would have been,
he's going through it in this episode. I was worried for my boy Donald.
Yeah, it's funny. He's like half a sunglass in the pile. I'm like, man, you guys missed that one little thing. That's all right.
Yeah. But the Mauler twins also, they have small scenes in this episode. Maybe in the third one. No, it was in this one. Because we it's actually both. Yeah, it's both episodes. Because he's cloning a new Mauler, and he's like, and then the clean Mauler like, well, welcome to the land of the living, clone. And then the scarred one is like, not this time, bitch. We know exactly who you are.
That is, I do remember that now. That is really good. Yeah.
I thought that was really funny. But also one of the things I really like about Invincible is that they're willing to kind of be like, if a storyline can't sustain multiple episodes, we're not going to make it. So like this idea that that one Mauler now knows he's not the clone and one Mauler knows that he is the clone. It's a fun gag for maybe 10 minutes, but after that there's nothing to do with it. And so they're like, we're going to kill the scarred one and make another clone, and probably have just the Mauler twins be the Mauler twins again.
Yeah.
I just love how cute little thing. No, I just love how the clone kills the scarred one, and because the scarred one, is lording over him, is like, you're the clone, LOL.
He calls him King Mauler.
Pretty much, and then he's like, your food is disgusting, this lemonade's crap. And he's like, hey, first of all, my food is amazing. Secondly, it's laced with poison, so have fun dying. He's like, there are just things you don't mess with, bitch.
Ben, you misremembered. It's not food. It's sangria. My sangria is exquisite, and my lemonade is just as good. It's laced with poison, though. That's what the line is. And I thought that was really funny, the fact that Mauler can make a great sangria.
Barrels it himself with his vineyard.
And then Adam Eve has a subplot also in specifically episode 4. And then that's the last thing that's probably of note in this episode. Because she's also kind of going through it because she's kind of wrestling with what happened in Chicago when the park was destroyed, the things that her dad kind of threw at her, not really knowing what to do. And she's kind of like languishing until she gets into a fight with Kill Cannon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And goes absolutely hog wild insane on him.
I don't remember this very well because again it's been a week, but like doesn't she like put him like in an orb and he explodes himself or something?
Yeah, explodes his hand.
Explodes his hand. Okay.
Or his robot arm. Like
Okay.
she entraps his arm cannon and fires because she has to go save the people who fell off the bridge.
That's right. So I guess she's.
Do we know if those people live or died? Because it doesn't really make it clear.
I'm sure they're fine.
In a relative sense.
Yeah.
They don't say.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she goes to see Amber and Marc, and well, we don't know Marc is in space, but she doesn't even show up for the brunch. She's just like distraught and like,
Yeah, we talked about this in the last episode, but like if the journey is just like, oh, she needs to be a superhero, I'm like, that's fine. That's okay. I like her scene going through it. Like I like, it's a well performed, it's a good performance. But I'm still just like unsure of like, what do you want to do with this character? What are we doing here?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about it the last time, and it's the fact that we don't want her dad to be right.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see where that goes, but so far it's going somewhere.
Yeah. I wish it's giving us like piecemeals. And again, like this was already a stuffed episode. So like I didn't want to take away from like the Nolan stuff to give the Adam Eve stuff. Like no offense, Eve. But like I do hope we, next year, like they do go into it. Cause like so far I'm just like, I'm not sure how I'm supposed to feel.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see where that goes. But that's really all that there is in these 2 episodes, unless there's something else you guys want to discuss.
I don't think so. Again, my memory's real bad because I watched these last week. But the Nolan stuff, the Nolan and Marc stuff on that planet, like really, that's cemented in my brain. I think that's like 4 is my favorite episode. I think that stuff's really great. The stuff with Debbie, I think, is really great. I just can't wait. I can't wait for more.
I watched these last night and I keep forgetting because the stuff with Marc and Nolan was very like front and center, but then it's like, oh wait, but there's also stuff with Debbie, then there's also stuff with so and so. I think I would agree. Like the weakest bit of these past 2 episodes was like I still think it's cute. Is the little mini date between Amanda and Rudy, the AKA robot.
Oh, like they go to the movies.
Yeah. Like she like
cute.
She pays a random lady $10 to act as their mom, and is like, it's fine, let them in.
Because they're both adults in children bodies.
Yeah, that's
so
what a life.
Or when he goes to, she takes him to Burger Mart, and she's like, what other, like, because Rudy's finally alive. He can go outside and do stuff. And I just think it's funny that he tries to call for a waiter, and she's like, there's no waiters at Burger Mart, dude. You gotta go. You gotta go up to the counter.
Like, and people like this?
Yeah. And even like what Brandon said earlier, giving Duplicate an actual character about why she likes the Immortal, because he's died as much as she has. Because seeing all of her duplicates die, it's like, what does that do to a person on how many times you die? Does she feel it? Does she not feel it? Is it what's the deal? And it's like, yeah, there's like some, you don't think about that sort of thing. You just think, oh, that's just a cool power. You can essentially create canned fodder and not worry about it. It's like, but does that hurt?
Yeah.
Multiple Man has a similar kind of thing, right?
I was literally about to say, absolutely. Yeah. Multiple Man from the comics, Jamie Madrox, like when he makes a dupe and he absorbs them back in, he absorbs all their memories. So like if every time she dies, she's absorbing that she knows she's died hundreds of times, that is traumatizing. So like that does add, again, it was only a little scene, but that does add a lot to like, why would you spend time with this like this old ass man? I'm like, oh, it's because like he's the only person who gets what I'm going through. That's compelling.
Yeah, I'm glad they finally gave her something that's more than I'm just sleeping with Rex or I'm just sleeping with the Immortal.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, yeah, I agree. 2 solid episodes. I really liked them. The 3rd episode is a little too disjointed for me. It's probably the weakest of the series for me at this point. If we're not counting the Adam Eve special.
Yeah.
If we are, then it's the 2nd weakest. And then episode 4 is great. I loved episode 4 a lot. I think it's the strongest written and probably the best episode of the series so far.
I agree.
100%. I know I wasn't here for episodes 1 and 2, but I just wanted to mention real quick how I always love. I don't know why, but I think every time Invincible fights Doc Seismic, it's just there's always some funny banter.
Love Doc Seismic.
Like when he says professors, he goes, "It's doctor." I never taught. Just like even in the first season when Adam is like, what when he's like criticizing her costume, and he's like, I thought you majored in seismology. He goes, and a minor in women's studies and African dance, but enough politics.
He can show up like just in one fight every single season, and I'd be perfectly happy.
And it has to keep escalating. It has to keep escalating because the first time he fell into lava, the second time he shows up with lava monsters. Like, got to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
He is the monster next time. That's what I want.
Okay, well that'll do it. Probably the shortest Fake Nerds watch in a while.
Hey man, 50 minutes is still not nothing to shoot. Just nothing to
sneeze at.
Chew at, nothing to bark at,
sneeze at. Nothing to sneeze at.
There we go.
I was also, as you were saying that, I was like, I also don't remember what that is. But yes, we are. That was this Fake Nerds watch on Invincible. We'll be back with more Invincible in the new year because that's when the new episodes will be out for Invincible. Yep. So stay tuned for that. But until then, there's plenty of Fake Nerds watches for you guys to check out. There's some Doctor Who Fake Nerds watches that are very exciting going on right now. And Monarch: Legacy of Monsters, another great show that we're discussing. So stay tuned for more episodes of that. And of course, go to our website at fakenerdpodcast.com, where you can find links to everything we do and all the shows we do and all the everywheres. That it's all there, guys. And you can, of course, you can also support us financially at TeePublic and on Patreon if you like. That's linked on our website as well as down below in the description. If you'd like to get in touch with us, that's Fake Nerd Podcast on all the socials. I'm at BT McClure on Instagram and Twitter. You can also find me writing for AtomicGeekdom.com. Ryan?
You can find me just patiently waiting 1 to 4 months for the next season of Invincible at DJ Tony Snark all over the internet.
And Ben?
You can find me getting flashbacks when William was talking about skipping class because Brand used to do that to me all the time when we went to college. He's like, hey.
It's been more than 10 years and he still brings it up.
Well, I will never forget the times that you were trying to convince me to skip class with you. A few times worked, a lot of times didn't.
It's the only time that I've ever missed college.
With skipping class?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Sorry, Ben. Ben Magnet 27.
But yeah, you can find me on the internet at Ben Magnet 27, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Threads. You can also find me writing for Old School Gamer Magazine, Fusion Gaming Magazine, go to Nintendo.com, and play Mary Frankenstein in D and Dark.
All right, guys, that'll do it for us. Like this video, subscribe to this channel, subscribe on all your podcatchers of choice, rate and review wherever you get us. And until next time, stay fake nerds.